right, let's see if we're live. Is it being sent? There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the studio. It is so good to see you. Happy Monday. I'm going to flip my screen really quick here. Here we go. Did everyone have a good weekend? Are you ready for week 2 in November? I can't believe it's week 2 in November. I mean, we're going to blink, you guys, and it's going to be May, which is insane. We're going to talk about everything the kids are learning in classes this week. I feel like I've got something funny going on with my green screen. Here, we'll turn it just a little. There we go. Everything the kids are learning in classes. It is week 2, and everybody has classes. Nobody has any off days. There's nothing funky going on. Just come to class this week. Sound good? All right, let's start with preschool fundamentals. Flip my screen here. Got some adorable artists up here playing with our face paint sticks in the classroom. We've also had out our paint pendulum this month, which is super fun. Hopefully you've seen some videos on that. I've got some from Flatwoods that I need to share. We've had a lot of great times in our creative stations. Last week we read the book Ish by Peter H. Reynolds, and we started our Sumi Ink projects. Those are big, and I brought a couple to share with you. This is a project that we're going to work on for the entire month. So we've got 2 more weeks still to work on it. And we challenge the kids to draw a portrait of themselves. Now, it may start out as a portrait and then maybe it becomes something else because that's what art is. But thought I'd share with you a few of these that we have coming out of this classroom. This is fun. This is done with Sumi ink. So this is that permanent, not washable ink. We had our artists in this class, this is the Friday class, they used paintbrushes in order to apply the Sumi ink. I'm going to show you in a little bit some of the other tools that we use when working with Sumi ink in some of our other classes. Very, very modern art, super fun. So, all right, here's one more. So this projects that the kids have started next week, or like this week coming up, we're gonna work on them again. We're gonna give them Sharpie markers, so little skinny ultra fine Sharpie markers, and challenge them to add more detailed drawings or doodles to their current picture. We're also gonna read a book. We're gonna read Shel Silverstein's Where the Sidewalk Ends, which if you're familiar with that book, it's a book of poems, and we'll pick out some of our favorites and share those poems, which is just kind of a different way of sharing story with the kids. I don't think they're often exposed to poems. So we'll read those. We'll also look at some of the illustrations because the illustrations in that book are ink doodles. So ties in very nicely. Go back to my notes here. Our K through 3rd grade classes. And I did not bring anything artwork wise to show there, but I did bring some Sumi ink because I thought I would share with you what Sumi ink looks like. How's that? So this is a rich, buttery, black, permanent ink, kind of like India ink. And I've got some already portioned out in a little plastic cup. And sometimes we apply it with a paintbrush. So you can dip in with a paintbrush and you can use your paintbrush to doodle with Sumi ink. Okay. Sometimes for mark making purposes, we give them straws and it has a little like nib cut into it. And this gives us a scratchier, can't do it, standing up. Let's see if I put my hand behind it. It needs gravity. Here we go. I got it. You know, like it doesn't work up in the air. But it gives us something that's a little bit less predictable, kind of something a little bit scratchier. And then sometimes as a mark making tool, we give our kids the glass pens. So this is a glass pen. And again, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do this from where I'm sitting with the forward facing camera. I could definitely do it with an overhead camera. But you see when I dip it in the ink, it fills all those little ridges with the Sumi ink. And then I can use it. Let's see if I can do it. To draw. Turn it towards the camera. No. I don't have a hard enough surface on where my pen is. Let me see. There it goes. I get the camera to pick it up. but it gives us a mono weight line, something really fine and really thin. Unlike with the brush, right? So if I'm using a brush, when I push down with my brush, don't lose that pen. When I push down with my brush and I apply more pressure, the bristles spread out and gives me a wider line. And if I pull it up and I'm just on the brush's tiptoes, I can get a very skinny line. Something like the glass pen, it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter how hard I push, because if I push too hard, it breaks. But it's not going to change the width of the line, right? So this is a mono weight, and it's a really different way of drawing. So the kids got to explore some different mark making tools in class last week. We also practiced drawing different types of animals that they may be interested in. We did some step-by-step drawing so they could see how to simply break down some of those more complex shapes. They brainstormed different types of animals that they could use for their subject matter, for their art. And then hopefully this week they can come in. They already know their idea. They already have a good idea of how they're going to draw it. They've already practiced it in their journals. They already know the different mark making tools they can use, and they can just dive right in. So those, remember I showed you the preschool pages? This is the same size that our K-thirds are going to work on, is this 12 by 18 sheet. So they'll get this, they'll get that Sumi ink, and then they'll get those mark making tools, and they can dive right in and create their animal drawing. So that's the plan for this week's class, is to get the ink part done, the black ink, the outline ink, and then next week we'll do the color. Okay. All right, 4th and 5th grade in homeschool. Now, I didn't bring examples of their artwork because they haven't started their project yet, but I did bring the inspiration images. And so this is an artist from Kamwai Wong who he does these amazing kind of furry cat. A lot of them are cat, but you can see down here, there's some that are maybe more leopard or more zebra, but creatures with our super, super fine. I didn't bring them microns or archival ink pens. And so in different weights, you make teeny, teeny lines and marks. And so when we look at, like, say, this middle kitty cat here, and the top half around the eyes is darker, and then the bottom half, as we get close to where the tail is lighter. That is not a change in, like, it's not a black pen and a gray pen, right? The difference is in the density of the marks. And so how compacted are all of your little fur marks, or how thick did you switch your tool to something that was a little bit wider? So but it creates this really soft look to it. So we practiced last week about how to get them, one, to be very fuzzy looking, like how do we visually create that texture? But then two, how do we create that value so that it looks three-dimensional instead of flat? So that's what they practiced. This week, they're going to start on their finals. So they're going to get a 9 by 12 sheet of paper, something that is this size, 9 by 12. They're going to grid it out using a pencil, super, super lightly. And then and they'll start filling their creatures in that little grid. Okay. 6th, 7th, and 8th, 12th. Did I bring anything for them? I did not. They are also using the archival ink pens as well as the ultra fine point Sharpies to create a pattern drawing and an ink drawing. Oh, I did bring theirs. Never mind. Theirs is over here. It's just under drawings. Maybe. Hold on it. There they are. I was like, I thought I grabbed a whole stack. There they are. Sorry. So they're going to be doing archival ink drawings. We, in the past, have said they have to be pattern drawings. We've kind of broadened that away from the Zentangles and patterns. They can still do that, but if they'd rather go something that just has texture and pattern, kind of like the ones the 4th and 5th grade are doing, they absolutely can. Theirs are also on 9 by 12 sheets of paper that then we have cut down to 8.5 by 11. Because they're going in a document frame that has a glass front, and we're going to use alcohol inks and fire to color that black front. So I brought a couple examples of kind of where they're going with their ink drawings. Most of them have a pencil sketch started. Some of them have some of the inking going, but they're totally different. Like, everybody's is different. So you can see this artist here, it looks like maybe we've got the start of something very geometric happening, maybe something very abstract, non-representational, right? And then here, see, this one goes this direction. We have something a lot more realistic looking. Has a lot of cross-hatching, has a lot of scrumbling in it. Not a lot of stippling, but cross-hatching and scrumbling happening in there in order to get the values done in ink. right? Or what's going on in the background. I'm not sure where we're going with that, but very different than this, which is geometric. Here's one that is also representational. That was just in pencil, right? So we could be inking this week. There's another one. Compositionally, this artist chose to fill the entire page. Maybe this one will too. We don't know. Again, compositionally, we've got something a lot more realistic, more illustrative, more realistic looking. And then as a composition, I'm not sure if this will get filled in. We don't know if it's done. I don't know the ideas behind it, but what a fun composition to have that go off the edge. Okay. So those are some of the in-progress works we have going on for our, these are blank, for our 8th through 12th grade classes here in Liberty. Flowers obviously is doing the exact same thing. I'm just not there in order to rate their class cubbies. But they will get those pencil sketches hopefully already started. If they aren't, hopefully at least they have an idea or something sketched in their journal. And then we will get them inked here this week. So really by the time they leave class this week, the goal is that most of the inking is done. So that way we can do wrapping up and finishing in the week 3 and get those glass frames with the alcohol ink and the fire done. Okay. Now there are some classes, especially the bigger classes. This would be an example of one of the bigger classes. The ones I just showed here, they have 12 people in their class, and so that's a lot of people to go through the alcohol inking and the setting things on fire, because we don't like to do that all at once, you know. Maybe 1 or 2 at a time, but not all at once. We like to be able to really manage what's burning. So they may do some of their frames this week in week 2. Just, you know, pulling people from like, hey, take a break from your drawing, come over here and let's color your frame, your glass. And that way there's not so much in week 3. So if your kids come home and said they lit things on fire and they're in the 8th through 12th grades or 6th, 7th grade class, we probably did. Creative explorations. All right. So creative explorations are also doing all of the same ink stuff. So everything we just talked about with multimedias, all of the Sumi ink, the 3 different mark making tools, the multimedia paper, in order to explore that and make, whether they want to do pattern drawing, they want to do those fuzzy creature drawings, they want to do their portraits, whatever they want to do with that, they can explore those tools with that. Just a reminder, that is not a washable medium, so make sure that you wear your art clothes to the studio. The art focus for them is Vincent van Gogh, very expressionistic, and then we're doing expressionist landscapes and markers in our journals. That ties a little bit into our Van Gogh. Also, there's Van Gogh here in our sunflowers, which is our still life, so that we've got, because that's one of his more famous paintings, so we've got some sunflowers that they can practice drawing. The collaborative vertical surface comes back to pattern drawing. So we've got Zentangle patterns in the upright, collaborative, large scale stuff. And then sensory comes right from preschool class. We've got sand art on the lake table. Drawing classes. So let's switch gears. I'm going to set this stuff down so I don't get it in the wrong place. We're going to look at some 101s. Last week, my 101s, they did recipe drawings. And so this was from our imagination, although we did have grocery ads for them to kind of get the brain working, like get some things thinking. But they didn't look at the ads and look and go, how do I draw this? And then reference back and forth. That really wasn't what it for. It was just to kind of get creative juices flowing. But I had them imagine like what a recipe was, and together on the board, we made up a recipe and we wrote it using a visual language. And so rather than using like writing and words, we did it with pictures. And so think IKEA directions, right? So then they made their own recipes, and then we read them together, and it was a lot of fun. So this one here is how to make a turkey dinner. And you start with the turkey. And then it goes in the oven. We talked about how maybe there were a few steps missing from that, but we didn't want to illustrate them. So there's a lot of really great illustrations happening. We had a lot of pizzas, a lot of how to make pizzas. You can see we've got some green. Whenever it shows up green on the green screen, you can't see it. But this one was making a peanut butter and jelly. So we had a lot of laughs. lot of giggles on some of our recipe drawings and talking about things that we cook and our favorite things our moms cook and all sorts of great conversations. This week, we're going to draw from observations. This was our from imagination. From observation, we're going to draw a fruit still life. Actually, Miss Nancy just went out and grabbed all the fruit for me because I forgot this weekend to get it. So, so we've got pineapples and apples and I don't know what else, lemons and oranges, and we'll set up a still life and then we'll draw from observation. We're going to use chalk pastels for that. Drawing 102s. So I've got a couple things to show you. I'll start with realistic just because it'll kind of tie a little into 101s. They also are doing a lot of food stuff this month. And we started with drawing vegetables from photographs using colored pencils last week. And so I wanted to show you some of that. So here's, again, you can't see the green one, but everybody else's is great. So this one here was one of our peppers. And then this one I loved, which of course it's broccoli. Hang on, I want to make sure you can see this. We're going to get rid of the green screen really quick. Share screen, background and effects. I'll put it back on, but I feel like it's a green piece of broccoli, right? So if I get rid of the green screen. Okay, here we go. How fun is that, right? Look at all the texture we have going on in here in our little stem of broccoli. Isn't that amazing? Got to keep it near me, otherwise the camera has it disappear. But that is so good, you guys. And look how three-dimensional this stem looks. I'm going to put the peppers back up because then you can see one of the things we were working on with this is seeing the shadows and the colors that actually happen in shadows. Shadows aren't just always, anyway, a darker version of, green or a darker version of red or a darker version of yellow. A lot of times they have other colors in them. Either they're reflected from an object that is nearby or they're actually the complementary color. So if we look at red, the shadow inside a red could be green. The shadow inside a yellow pepper could be purple. Using those complementary colors to make shadows. Okay, so that was one of the things we looked at from our photographs. I'm going to go back and put my green screen back on. There are pluses and minuses to both ways of seeing things. Should have brought, there it is. Bob, I have a green screen. Like this. Okay. All right. So that was what we did this last week, was the vegetable drawings. And then this week we're going to be doing our fruit still life. So same as the drawing 101s, we'll set up a still life with the pineapple is my favorite. We'll set up that still life. And we're going to draw that instead of using the colored pencils, we're going to use chalk pastels. So, and again, we'll look at lights and darks and shadows and hues and texture and all that amazing stuff. Okay. My 102s in my illustrative this month is all about characters. And so we're looking at, not that one, this one. We're looking at drawing figures and characters and people, which is where everybody wants to be, right? So they spent last week doing heads. And so I brought a couple examples of that. And we talked about taking a head and moving it in space. Right? Because if you are going to illustrate something, your character's going to have to move throughout your picture. And in order to do that, they're not always going to be forward facing. And so we have to be able to move the same person head through space and still have it look like them. So this was our kind of sketchy part. And then we spent some time on the actual character, a little bit bigger over here. Got another one to show you. So again, we've got kind of some sketches as we turn that head through space. And then all right. This week, we're going to move down from the head and we're going to look at the entire figure. We're going to spend 2 weeks on figure. That's like the body. And when we say figure, it's the body. So this week will be about just an overview of the figure, mostly at a forward-facing standing pose, like nothing too crazy. Once we get into week 3, that's when we're going to start putting those figures into motion. And we've got some really cool mannequins to help the artists see how to put them in motion. And then not only do we move them, but we also move the viewers. You can take your viewer and put them above, below, to the side, right? Move them around. Well, and I'll show you that. I'll bring the mannequins in next week's video so you can kind of see what that is. But those are really great. This week is just simply about like how many heads high is a person and the different styles, right? So how I illustrate somebody in a comic style is different than how I illustrate somebody in a cartooning style. And we'll look at different examples of cartoon bodies versus like a comic or a manga style. Drawing 103. So my 103 illustrative are doing 1-point and 2-point perspectives, and they're drawing inside, outside rooms. So they did the inside, now they're doing an outside and a cityscape. But it's not just a landscape picture. There has to actually be something happening in the picture. So there needs to be action or character, something. But it takes place on a city street that follows the rules of 1- and 2-point perspective. So they spent all last week doing brainstorming and getting good ideas down on paper for what their composition is going to be. This week, they'll have to get that inked and colored. My 102 realistic, their subject matter is bugs, and we're looking at scientific illustrations. And we want as realistic as possible. They spent their last week's class choosing their subject and finding their reference image. We also got them printed, and we started on them. Some people got farther than others, which is amazing. We are working a little bit smaller. I gave them the choice, but some of them chose to work a little bit smaller because of the shortened schedule. Like if you knew you probably weren't going to be here in week 4, then let's shrink our scale a little bit to make it more manageable. So we've got, again, this is our reference image, get a little fuzzy moth, and then here's our drawing so far. I got one more. Our reference image. Oh, and of course it's green. Here, I'll turn it a little bit to the side. Yeah, and our drawing so far. So good things happening there with the colored pencils. We can learn about like how to mix them, how to blend them, how to burnish them. We're using colorless blenders from Prismacolor to help, you know, bring those pigments together into a smooth surface so we're not seeing our coloring marks or our brush strokes. So a lot of great stuff happening in there, and they're going to be awesome. We've got smaller mats for them to put their artwork in if they need to. Okay. All right, we got to do some housekeeping stuff and make sure that I've got everything done that I needed to. So the first thing we're going to look at is the November calendar. It's exactly what we looked at last week, but I kind of feel like we should look at it again. I'm going to end up turning off my forward-facing camera here, so that way you guys can see the full calendar, right? Instead of seeing me. So here's what this looks like. We've got the month of November. You can see we are right now there on Veterans Day on the 11th in week 2. Next week on the 22nd, there's like a little sunshine. And that is my promise to you that I will have second semester registration emails out to each and every one of you by that date. That's just like a little note, so you know when that's coming. That'll be before Thanksgiving. And then you'll see all the turkeys on the 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, and the 1st. Those are the days that our studios are closed. Now, I will be working on the 1st only because that's when registration opens to the public, like for the next semester. So I will be working answering emails and phones, at least in the morning. And then I'll answer emails all day, and social media and all that stuff. But the studio itself is closed, and we don't have any classes or parties or anything going on. The Monday and Tuesday is what we're going to talk about a little bit. But before we get into that, let's look at our preschool and creative exploration classes. So this is your preschool fundamentals, your toddler art and play group, and your creative explorations. Any place there's a star, those are your class dates. So if you're in a Tuesday class, you see you meet on the 5th, the 12th, and the 19th, and you have the 26th off. If you're in a Friday class, you meet the 8th, the 15th, and the 22nd, and you have the 29th off. This works out really well, super easy, nothing fancy. We'll see you guys after Thanksgiving, okay? Now, if you're in a 4-time-a-month class, which is our drawing and multimedia students, you are impacted by the Thanksgiving week. And so you're going to meet these first 3 weeks. So say you're in a Monday class, the 4th, 11th, and the 18th. just like normal at your normal class time. And then you're going to choose an open studio on Monday or Tuesday on the 25th or the 26th. Same with the Thursday people. You're going to meet the 7th, the 14th, and the 21st, and then you're going to choose an open studio on that Monday or Tuesday. So those open studio classes are what kind of we need to talk about. Notice there are no classes on Wednesday. We don't have any drawing or multimedia classes on Wednesday anyway. It's really the Thursday people that they're mostly impacted. Although Monday and Tuesday people could also be impacted. Let's say you're in a Tuesday class, but hey, you don't have school on Wednesday, so you were planning on leaving town on Tuesday. But you could hit an open studio on Monday, then that's available to you. So I'm gonna put my camera back up here. There I am. There I am. Just because you've already seen the graphics. So let me talk to you through it just a little bit. Everybody's going to sign up for an open studio. So if you normally come on a Monday at 5 and you're planning on coming Monday at 5 for open studio, there's a link for you to sign up for that. There's no charge to it or anything. It's just an RSVP for us, and it gives us a roster. We're doing that through Sawyer, and there are links that I've generated for you to go ahead and just sign up really quick. That way it populates on your Sawyer calendar. It gives us something to take attendance on. It also gives our teachers in the room a place to have emergency contact information digitally. It allows us to pull a roster for a sign-in sheet. There's just so many reasons that we, want to have that done. So even if you're like, we come Mondays at 6 and we're going to come Mondays at 6 on the 25th too, that's fine. Just click through and get signed up for that, just so we know. It also helps us for planning purposes, so we know if we've got 26 kids coming versus 3. Just helps. In larger classrooms, we'll go ahead or larger groups that are signed up, we'll go ahead and divide up into 2 classrooms. If we have just a small group, then we'll stay in one classroom together. There are a few late night ones, the 8 o'clock ones, where I said are specifically for the older kids. That doesn't mean your older kids can't sign up for an earlier one, but in the later ones, we're going to make sure that some of those creative stations are really geared towards our more mature artists, so our 6th grade and up kids. Okay. There are no open studios that start on the half hour. That's probably the biggest difference this year. Last year we allowed people to still come, like if you're normally a 6:30 class, to come at 6:30. And you can, but I tried to put like everybody on an hour just because it's easier for us if everybody's coming at the same time and leaving at the same time, as opposed to trying to manage, we're all in one room, but your hour is up, and it's confusing. So, and I'd hate to like lose a child, right? So everybody's coming at 1 hour and leaving at an hour, and that helps us keep track of everybody. Okay. So if you have questions about that, you can let me know. I already posted the RSVP sheet, like the PDF and the links, in our private Facebook group. I did that last week. This week, in the weekly video that you get, right? Because you're getting this video emailed to you. Those links are in there. We're not going to publish them publicly because they're not open to everybody. They're only open to you guys. And they're not open to, just anybody to come to a free open studio. Only for you guys. So you'll have to get them from the emails, and we'll send, obviously it'll be in this weekly email, it'll be in next week's email, and I'll probably also send them sometime in the middle of the week, just so that everybody sees it. Okay. All right. There's not really a deadline for it necessarily. Like if you're like, I don't even know, Allison, it's only 11th, whatever, you can wait. You can wait till the 22nd to sign up. It's fine. Okay. But if you do know and you can sign up, that does help us. Okay. All right. Spring semester registration. So that date on the 22nd, right? That's when the links will go to you guys to go ahead and sign up. Now, there's a couple things that are different for you as enrolled artists than the public when they go public, right? The first is, of course, that you get them early. And the reason for that is if you're in Drawing 102 Illustrative on Monday nights, I don't want you to lose your spot going into January because somebody else was just a little bit faster on the site, right? So everybody that's in class right now can have their spots next semester. You don't have to worry about losing them. That's why we give them to you early. Okay, so you're going to get those early, those links. They are private and they're sent just to you. You are only sent the link for your class. So if you are in Monday's multimedia class, but you're on the wait list for comic, and you would, or not comic, illustrative, and you were like, cool, I'm going to get the illustrative link early. You are wrong. You do not get the illustrated link early. you get the multimedia link early. You get the one that you're already in. So you're not getting access to all the links. You're only getting access to the link that's yours. So I will send those individually to every single class, and so this is yours. And I ask that you don't share that because I don't want anyone to lose their spot. So if you send it to a friend and they sign up, then that takes a spot from somebody else. And then I have to have an awkward conversation with that friend and be like, yeah, you weren't supposed to have that. I'm sorry. Don't put me in that position. So those links will go out and they're just for you guys to sign up. Now, let's say you are in that K-3 multimedia class, right? But you would rather be in a drawing class that's full or whatever. Go ahead and sign up for the K1, right? And then, or better, or something, send me a message, right? Because either way, if you get a spot in illustrative, I'll cancel the other one. Okay. And I'll talk you through it. Absolutely. All right. But you have to go fight the masses for that. You have to do that on the first. Now, if you want a spot in a class that isn't full, I'll probably just send you the link. Like, seriously, it's fine. Just send me a message about that, okay? If it's full, I can't do that. But if it's not full, then I can probably just send you the link to the class that you would rather be in next semester. Does that make sense? Clear as mud. Other things we need to talk about is the financial side of things. So typically on December 1st, when the links go public, we tell people they have two registration options. They can pay monthly or they can pay by the semester. If you pay monthly, that means that you're going to pay your January tuition when you sign up. And then you're going to pay like your February tuition on February 1st, your March tuition on March 1st, your April tuition on April 1st, right? And so on and so forth until it gets to the end of May or until you cancel. If you pay by semester, then you pay it all in one lump sum when you sign up, January through May. And you get 15% discount on your tuition. You get a half-price birthday party. You get discounts on your spring break art camps. You get discounts on your Mother's Day projects. You get, if you sign up on the day it opens, you get your t-shirt, that kind of stuff, right? Those are your only two options. But as currently enrolled students, we've got a third option. And that is that I broke down that semester tuition rate into 3 payments. That will not be the case when the links are public on December 1st. That is only available for you guys. It will be all gone when things go public, okay? So that option is to put a $100 deposit down, and then you pay a payment on January 1st, and you put a payment on January 15th. So it's just divided up into 3 payments. The discount is still there. The benefits are still there. Like you still get 15% off your tuition. You still get your half-price birthday party. You still get your t-shirt, like all that stuff. It's just going to break it down into something a little bit more manageable. And we only do that for our people that we like, know, like, and trust. I mean, I'm sure I also know, like, and trust other people, but I don't know. So, but I like you guys. So we'll do it for you. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So you'll see that option. It's not something you have to worry about. Those of you who are new and you're like, how do I get the 15% discount? What coupon code do I use? It's already factored into that semester rate. So if you were to take that monthly rate and multiply it times 5 months, and then look at the semester rate, there's a difference, and it's a 15% discount. So it's already mapped in there. You don't have to put any like discount codes or anything. We also get a lot of questions going into the spring semester about why the prices went up. And the prices did not go up. We keep our tuition prices the same for the year. I set them in July and they don't change for the year. It doesn't matter what happens with the economy. They just stay that way. That's our promise to you guys. But but it seems like more because the fall semester is 4 months and the spring semester is 5 months. And so that's why you're like, whoa, I don't remember paying this much last semester. That's why. There's just an extra month in there. Okay. Last thing I'll say, and then I'll move on from this. And we'll talk about it next week too. The last thing I'll say is if you, let's say, are paying monthly and you're like, okay, so you're telling me, Allison, that on November 23rd, I have to pay my January tuition. And then on December 1st, I'm going to pay my December tuition. And I can't do both those things. Like, Why can't I, that I can't double up? If that's the case, then all you have to do is reach out to me. Okay. There's no way for me to do it automatically and be like, oh, it's not a problem. Put this, but I can do it on my end. I can do it manually, where we put you in the class and we make it so that your January tuition payment comes out on January 1st. Okay. If doubling up and paying your January tuition now monthly isn't going to work, because the December tuition comes out December 1st and you're like, I can't do both in 1 week, like in the span of a week, then let me know so that I can finagle some things on my end. We'll get you signed up. We'll get you registered. We'll make sure you have that spot in class, and we'll set your billing to start. And we'll go in, we'll edit things, and we'll set your billing to start on January 1st. Okay. I just need an email so I can do that for you. Does that make sense? Hopefully. If anybody has any questions about next semester's registration, please let me know. Best way to reach me is with an email. If you want to chat on the phone, I'm more than happy to set up a phone call with you, but start with an email. Because if you're just trying to catch me, like the phone's on silent right now, like it just is. You're very rarely just going to catch me just willy-nilly calling, but I'm happy to talk on the phone. We just got to set it up. The other thing I'll say to people, and I should have started with this, is that everybody has to re-enroll. Nobody's enrollment carries over to the new year. And this is the way it's been since we opened, but it's always confusing for people. You are not auto-enrolled for the second semester. Everybody has to re-enroll. So please make sure that you hear that part. I will post signs everywhere over the building. Make sure that you sign up. Okay. And again, if the financial side of things, because it's around the holidays, if that's not going to work right now, but you want to do classes in January, then, and you're in classes now, come talk to us. Okay. All right, here we go. Next, just a quick reminder to sign up for holiday classes. Yeah, cool. So if you want to come and hang, and if you're a Studio Club member, make sure you use your coupon codes so that you can get your 25% off. But we've got some Saturday morning stuff going on. They are not gift classes. Like in the past, we've done them as like make and take, like gift classes. Trying something new this year, and we're just doing kind of holiday themed classes. So come draw plaza lights with us, or make pine cone trees, or whatever you want to do. Sound good? Oh man, that felt like a really long video. I don't know that it was, but it felt long. So I hope that everybody has a wonderful Monday. I hope you have a great week. If you need anything from me, you know where to find me. I will chat with you guys soon.